Hello, and welcome to How Ancestry can help you find your lost relatives. My name is Ruth Wilhelm, and I am the local history and genealogy librarian for the Putnam County District Library. I do apologize, it's not your computer or device that's having the issue, it is my webcam, but the camera on my keyboard is working fine, so we should be all right. Let's get started. So first of all, we have to go to the URL, which is this one right here in blue. If you go to this URL, this is how you will access Ancestry Library from home. It is accessible from today through May 30th. If this is extended, I will edit the post to reflect that. But for now, I know for sure that it will be available through the end of May. The email list below here is for any issues you're having getting on the database. You can't find your library card, which you will need to access this. Please send me an email and I will help you get that situation resolved. Also, if you have any local history questions or genealogy questions, you're welcome to post them to that email address also. And if you're thinking, I would like to learn more about something in particular, if you would like to see me do a program on something, send me an email or put in the comments. I'm always interested to know what people want to see, and I will be more than happy to see if I can come up with a program for that. So now, once we go to this, it's going to ask you for your library card. You just put that in with no spaces and hit enter. And you will come to this. So here we are looking at the dashboard for Ancestry Library Edition. We'll come back to search in a moment. We're going to look at message boards. Now the difference between Ancestry and Ancestry Library Edition is you can read the message boards, but you cannot post anything to the message boards in Ancestry Library. So basically you can think of Ancestry Library as you can look at anything you want, but you don't get to interact with other people. There's a learning center. So if you go to that, there's really short little videos, tips and tricks, little handout things that they have done. Charts and forms. If you need some forms, you can always go here and print them off. New collections. This will tell us the newest things that Ancestry has added. A lot of times people say, I've used Ancestry before, and I haven't found anything. Well, let me tell you, Ancestry is adding all the time. So let's just look at the last 3 records they've done. This one was published on 4/23, and which was just a couple days ago. This one the same way, 4/23. This one on North Dakota was published in 2016, but they've updated it recently. So you can see they keep adding to it. Also on here, if you're looking for, say, just World War II, you want to see what kind of records they have, you can just type that in. And here they are. You can even go down here. We're going to filter it by North America. If you want to filter them even farther, you can go to just the United States. So it lists here that there are 40 different types of records that can be found. You can click on one and enter your information if you're looking for something extremely specific, but otherwise I normally go to the search and just use that. So let's go back there. Now, in the search, you see we have choices. We can do all categories, census and voter lists, birth, marriage, and death, military, immigration and travel, or the card catalog. And the card catalog will take us to the same place the new collections did also. For me, I find even if I'm looking for one thing, say a census record, I'll go to all categories because you never know what is going to come up. Things that maybe you didn't realize they even had those type of records. So we're going to go to all categories, and we're going to use a gentleman today by the name of Alfred Cribley, because he does have a variety of records and was actually someone I had looked up and found a whole new source of information that I really didn't know was on Ancestry. So to begin with, let's say we know Alfred Cribley. He came from Switzerland. He was here before 1900, and he lived in Hancock County. That's where he moved to. Okay, so as we type in Hancock, we see this list pop up. If we would just type in Hancock County, Ohio, it would not give us all the records that if we use their suggestion, which is Hancock County, Ohio, USA, if we search with that, we will be much more likely to come up with what we want. So we don't have any idea about his birth year, although we know that he came by 1900, so he had to be born, you know. Probably most people that came by themselves, you know, we're looking at, you know, at least 1880. He would have been born at least probably before then. So as we do our search, we find all kinds of things. Okay, so here's Alfred C. Cribley, who's born in Switzerland and died in Bluffton. And that's close to Hancock County. Oh, look here. Look how they spelled Alfred. And you will find that in records. A lot of times they had thick accents. It was hard to understand them. Sometimes people didn't know English, the immigrants. And so when they said their name, you know, if we think of a German accent with, you know, a name, it's no wonder that they get the names wrong sometimes. And sometimes it's a matter of the person that indexed them didn't read it right because they weren't familiar with the names. So they were living in Hancock County, so I'm getting the feeling that this is probably my person. So let's take a look here at the census and see what we get. So this is the 1900 census. Remember, the one thing that I knew from the family was he came before 1900. So here we have Alfred. It looks like his wife's name's Adela. He had a Blanche, a Pauline, and a Charles. It will tell you here all the years of the month and the year of their birth. And, you know, along with it, it will tell you how old they were. This is how many children she has and how many are living at the time. We see here their families were both from Switzerland. It says the immigration year here is 92 and 97. And it appears here that they were both naturalized, and he is a farmhand. So we found out a little bit about him. So we do know that his birth date, at least, that was given to the census taker and what the census taker wrote down was April of 1865. So if we go back here, let's look at that first record. It was a find a grave, and it lists that he was born April of 1865. So this is probably the same person. You know, I think you can draw that conclusion. He died February 28th of 1955. He died in Bluffton. He's buried in Thompson Cemetery in Orange Township, Hancock County. And someone has listed his children and his spouse on his Find a Grave record. So if we go to this, oh look, we can even find a tombstone picture of his burial. So, okay, a little bit here, tells you who officiated his service. And then it looks like it gives a description of him. He was one of the first farmers to introduce brown Swiss cattle to the area. He imported cattle from Wisconsin in 1929. He was a member of the Modern Woodmen, National Purple Heart Parents, Reformed Church. He was a member of this Protestant church in Paris, Switzerland. Oh, that's where he went to church. That's probably where you would find his baptismal records. And he was a member of the Swiss Army until he became a United States citizen. Just talk some about his family. He had a son, Robert, who served in the Army and died in Battle Creek, Michigan in 1946. And it tells you where this was published in the Lima News. So if you want an actual copy of the obituary, you can find it there. So we found, some more information about him. Let's see what else there is to locate. So we did 1900. Let's see what 1910 holds in store for us. Okay, and here he is. One thing nice, they will highlight the census record for you, so it makes it much easier to find your person. I'm going to make this a little larger because it's hard to read. Okay, so we have all the family here. He now has 8 children. It lists all of their ages. At this point, she has 8 children, and one of them has died. And over here we see that he spoke English, she spoke French, and he's a general laborer, because from that obituary we saw he was a dairy farmer and a farmer. Okay. Let's see if we find a 1920 census record and if it gives us any new information. Oh, here's one. And anytime you look at birth years on census records, it's give or take a few years. It could be whoever gave the information. It's possible the wife didn't know the husband's exact birth date, or it could have been one of the kids that was given the census taker the information. So the birth dates tend to be around it, but not really on it. So here we find Alfred down here at the bottom. We get a little bigger here. So we can see that he came in 1891 and was naturalized in 1899. She came in 1896 and was naturalized that same year, which is not possible. So there again, you need to take the information you find here and find other sources to back it up. But this is a great place to come when you don't know where else to look. You just don't know where to start. In this case, we couldn't get very far without knowing when his birth date was. So we made sure we had the right person. If we go over here, they're listing that their mother tongue was French for both of them. And he's still farming. And he has his 2 daughters here are working at a glove making factory. And we know that he had several children, so let's look at the next page and see how many more they had. Oh, and it's quite a list now. So they had 2 on that page. So they're up to 12. The youngest one is 11 months old. And again, yeah, we don't get any extra information because these are all they're in school. But we now have a listing of a lot of children's names. And as we get back here, here we go. So as we're looking here, we don't see the 1930 census, because here's a 1941. So let's go over here to the side and go to census and voter lists. So we're going to tell it we want to look for the 1931. Okay, now here's a Gladys Cribley, but we never saw Gladys as one of the children. There's a Dorothy, but that's Portage. Here's a Teddy Cribley, Allen County, that's where they were from. Let's kind of just hover over here, and it will let us do a brief look here and see, oh yeah, these are the names, Rachel, Harriet, Morris, and this is how they spelled Alfred. That is why our search did not come up with it, because instead of Alfred, it's Auflad, and Cribley is with a Y instead of Z. So it was just too far out for the search itself to find it. That's when sometimes you need to go deeper to see if you can find it. And now that we found him, let's take a look at it. Okay, and where are we? There we are. Okay, so there is Alfred. Okay, and these are the children that are home. Robert wasn't on the list before, so they've had yet another one. Alfred got married at 31, and it looks like she got married at 21. See if we find any new information here. Here you can see the immigration dates change. He said now his is 1891 and hers is 1892. He's a general farmer. If we look down here, this one is a seamstress. Oh, somebody is still working at a glove factory. And that's about all the information we're finding here. Okay. So let's go back, and we're going to go back and look at 1940. Sometimes the census will give you information, and sometimes it doesn't. But you're here, it doesn't take long to double check and make sure you're not missing something. And we get back here, and we're going to look at the 1940 census. So if we go up here, oh, there we are. And again, it's such tiny writing. At least it's legible. Okay, so here we show them. Again, listing the ones that are still home. Again, all the children are born in Ohio. Let's see, do we have any other exciting information on here? It says, here we have Adele. It says she is a nurse in a hospital. Okay. Several of them are farmers. Excuse me. But now we've learned something else, that she is a nurse in a hospital. So that might be another avenue that you can pursue about your family. Okay, so we'll go back to this general list here, now that we've topped out our census. The census only come out, of course, every 10 years. A new one will come out. The census has to be 70 years old before it is public record. So that is why we only have census records up to 1940 right now. Now, let's scroll down here and see what else we find. So Theodore was one of his children. So if you're looking for information on the children, you know, you'll find them also. Oh, here's an obituary in Rutherford B. Hayes. So if you're looking for an obituary, you can find that. Let's go down here. Here's another one. It says Young Men Draft Card, Mr. Alfred Cribley. Okay, so Morris, this was his draft record. And here we go. It lists his birth date. Look at the phone number. 622T was his phone number. His father was Alfred Cribley and lived there. And there's Morris's signature. So they lived RFD 2. And I think if we keep going, let's go to the next page. There's a certain type of record. Here it is, U.S. passport applications. I never realized these were on Ancestry till I went to look for this gentleman, and I found this out. And if you get lucky enough to have somebody with a passport application, it is wonderful. It is a wealth of information. So let's look at Alfred's. Okay, so up here we see this is 1922. It's filed in Allen County that Alfred Cribley, he was born in Paris, Switzerland. Remember, in his obituary, it says he had a church there, so now we know he was born there. It tells us his birth date, April 23rd, 1865. Oh, his father's name is Louis. So now we know his father's name. And that Alfred emigrated from France on April 1st, 1891, resided for 31 years at Bluffton. So if you're looking for his naturalization record, it was November 4th, 1899 in Allen County. So if you went to Allen County naturalization records, you should be able to find his. Shows he was a farmer. He's going to travel abroad, going to be back within 6 months. He's going to Switzerland to visit his relatives. He's going to the British Isles, France, Holland, Belgium for travel. He's going to leave on the ship called the France on May the 10th, 1922. There is his signature. Okay? And there's always 2 pages to a passport application. So let's go to the second page. See what we can find. Okay, so over here, we see he's a short man. He was 5 foot 5 inches. He had brownish gray eyes, a long nose. He had a medium mouth, a broad chin. His hair was black and he was graying. His complexion was dark and his face was narrow. So here, his identification, you had to have somebody swear who you were. So Charles Basier of Bluffton said he's known Alfred for 30 years. And there's his signature. And if we come down here, look what we find. We find his passport picture. And if you look really close, I know it's hard to see, it will also contain his signature. So now you know his birth date, where he was born, you know what he looks like, you know his height, you know his eye color, his hair color, a lot of things that other records aren't going to tell you. But I just wanted to make sure you saw this because passports can give wonderful information. And I have been doing this since 1995, and it was about maybe 4 years ago, I found these passport applications. And so you learn something new every day. Even if you do it every day, you find more and more things. So let's go back home. As you can see, there is a wealth of information that you can find on Ancestry. A lot of it is just hunting for it. There are quick links down here on the home page that you can go to. Pictures, excuse me, are interesting. Let's go to the school directories because they're just kind of funny. And I'm sure, because Alfred didn't go to school here, but let's throw Alfred in and see what we get. And he lived in, most of his life, he lived in Allen County, so we may find that some of his children's pictures are here. And that could be fun. This is your family. And here we go. And it's really nice because sometimes there's little previews here. Birth about 1980. Obviously not anybody that was his children. Let me kind of scroll through some names here. I don't see anybody, but let's go back up and we're going to edit this. And I remember, come on. Now my internet has been very good all night, all day, so come on. Why are we not? Let's try this. Now can we look very good? Okay, so he had a son, Morris. Remember we saw his World War II draft record. Let's see if anything comes up with him. Okay, so we have some directories. Here is a yearbook picture. Oh, this is the FFA from Bluffton High School in 1931. And there he is. It will even show you in the text where he is. And then you can find him. Let's see, where was that at? He was the reporter for the FFA. Let's see here. See if we can figure out who he is. There he is, right there. So, we have found a picture of Alfred. If we look through these yearbooks, we might find pictures of most of his children. So it's just something different than your normal birth, death, marriage, wills, records that are available other places. You could throw other kids' names in here, other children that they had. Here's where he was 16. But just adds a little more to your family history when you can get some of these more unique things. They're just not dates on a paper, they're actually people. And he is in the second row. It says, let's see, Max, Walter, that's him right there. So you can kind of watch them grow up. Gives you a different perspective. So I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about what Ancestry Library can do for you. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment field. And I will be glad to answer them, or you can send them to the email address that was pcdlh@seolibraries.org. Thank you for joining me, and have a good day.